Welcome to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. Welcome. Glad everybody can be with me here today on this good Monday. Hope everybody's still staying cool. This past week was definitely a blazer. It was like high 100s out this motherfucker, man, but it's cooling down somewhat. We kind of like in the high 80s now, lower 90s. So glad everybody's doing good. Also, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe to this. We are on SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, and of course on YouTube. So please make sure you get that subscribers up, get the likes up. Don't cost nothing for y'all to do that. Also, to add another point about this heat, we've been having a lot of ACs break lately. Of course, if you know any elderly people or anybody who's, staying in the warm house AC broke, please make sure that they are accommodated. Want to make sure that everybody's staying cool. Their life is not threatened because of this heat, because this heat out here is crazy. Also, I want to give a shout out to my dog Greg from Sneak This Podcast. So this past week, everybody knows, I'm definitely into sneakers. He's one of the podcasts that I listen to every week. You catch my guys on YouTube. I think they're on all the audio platforms. And they was covering the whole 2J's kicks and sneaker surgeon thing. I want to just give a shout out to my dog for a master class on breaking that whole thing down on his previous episode. So please, when you get some time, check that out. Again, that is the Sneak This Sneaker Podcast, hosted by my dog Greg and George. Greg went ahead and did this one solo in his closet episode, and it was a master class. I will say. My dog definitely got busy on that. But again, salute to my dog Greg. He gave a great breakdown of that whole situation, because I know that's something that's been going on in the sneaker community this past couple weeks. So you get a chance, please check that out. So let's go ahead and get right into this, man. We had some more news as regards to what was going on with the whole Kendrick verse on Clip's upcoming album, Let God Sort Him Out. Pusha T revealed as to why that verse was blocked by UMG/Def Jam. So apparently they had an issue with a line that referenced Trump. It was a Trump card line. Let me see if I can actually find that clip as regards to what Pusha said, exactly what was going on with that. I have it right here. Let me play it. I got it for y'all right here.
Plead their case. Now, there was nothing even to be, they didn't like the optic. In my opinion, they didn't like the optics
of two Drake foes teaming up.
Right.
Yeah. Is there a line they pinpointed? Censor?
They pinpointed a line where the phrase Trump card was used. Right? So stupid. It's like the phrase Trump card was used, and they said that they didn't want any problem with Trump or something like that as well.
Unrelated to
unrelated. Totally even unrelated. Yeah, totally unrelated.
Just a Trump.
Yeah.
A Trump.
Yeah.
So you felt like they were.
Yeah, so when I heard this, if you remember previous, there was basically this notion that Drake had got the verse canceled, or he went to UMG and told them, "Hey, go ahead and X this." And my whole premise on that, this was, I can't remember what episode it was. It might have been episode 4 or 5. And I was like, to me, that doesn't really make sense for Drake in the midst of this lawsuit. If you don't know, UMG and Drake got this pending lawsuit, that he filed against them for Not Like Us, feeling like they basically boosted that record. So, it could go against him, drive his value down, whatever the case may be. So my whole notion was, to me, it didn't make sense for Drake to go to them and miss his lawsuit and be like, yeah, that was the one that did it. Now we got this news about this whole Trump card thing and the optics. Now I can't understand the optics point. That right there makes more sense. The whole Trump card thing, I don't really understand it. To me, and I'm not, by no means am I calling Pusha T a liar. It just seemed like this whole thing has been messy. UMG has been pretty much scrambling, if you ask me. This seems like a whole bunch of scrambling, and it continues to paint the narrative that whatever Drake is filing against them, whatever his claim may be, even though I don't agree with it, because I still to this day don't agree with the lawsuit. I don't care what it was, because the basis of the lawsuit is off the heels of a battle. And I always said, going into a rap battle, you have to take what comes with that in the aftermath. I don't believe for 1 second that Not Like Us damaged Drake's rep at all. At the end of the day, Drake will continue to have millions and millions of fans selling out tours if he want to continue to go on tour, all of that. I don't believe for 1 second that the label conspired against him to do that. Now, if Drake does come out victorious in this claim, then hey, I'll have to walk it back. I still won't agree with him having this lawsuit, because to me it's not hip hop. Essentially, it's not. Whatever the legal is, if this had this whole thing not happened outside, it had this happened outside of a battle setting, I would be 100% on Drake's side. But this all happened off the heels of a battle. We all know, if you look at throughout history, like when 50 Cent was going through what he was going through, his whole label was literally conspiring against him. Took that on the chin. I feel like when you open that door and, both sides mudslinging, I mean, you called him a wife beater. You get what I'm saying? Now, we all know getting labeled a pedophile is worse than being called a white beater, but look at Kendrick. Kendrick's still on tour, doing record-breaking numbers, none of that. So all of this still ties back into the battle that we had last year. And I'm to the point now when it comes to this whole battle between Clips and Def Jam, I think they're just continuing to feed into Drake's hands as far as this, because it's all going to go back to this. It's all going to go back to this. And I think that by them censoring his music, not only do you take away the creativity, but you also continue to paint the narrative that whatever he filed against y'all may be true. Because I would just let the verse rock out. To me, it's not that fucking deep at the end of the day, dog. I think UMG would have did themselves a better service had they just shut the fuck up. I think had they just shut up and just let Kendrick let his verse rock out, I don't think it really would have been no issues. I think by you censoring his verse / telling Pusha T to take this verse off, I think you essentially handed him the W. That's just my personal opinion. You should have just let the verse rock out. Like Pusha said, I didn't hear nothing in the verse because it got leaked last week. I didn't hear nothing in the verse that sounded anything towards Drake. If somebody could point it out to me, let me know. But I didn't hear nothing. So I think all of this is just, I think it's poor play on UMG and Def Jam part. It continues not to make any sense. But all in all, though, it's been a great rollout. I think this actually has been one of the best rollouts we had for an album over the last, I can't think of the last one that really had a pretty dope album rollout like this, in line with some of the merch that they drop in, the interviews. I did check out that interview that they had on, I can't remember the exact name. It was these two white guys. I can't think of the name right now, but it was a real good interview. Pusha T and Malice talked about how, the creativity aspect of the album, how their first track actually on the album is about their parents who passed away. I thought that was real dope. I think Birds Don't Sing, I think is the name of the track, but it's a real dope interview. You get a chance, go ahead and check that out. But one of the things that did stand out to me in that interview, how they was talking about the whole censoring, and, we all know music is a form of expression, and from its inception, we know that Black people use music as an outlet to get out their feelings, what they're going through. Artistic vision, the whole nine. So when they started talking about that and the whole censoring with whole UMG and Def Jam, I can understand why they had the gripe that they have, because at the end of the day, when do we start getting to a place where you're censoring artists because, you feel like this, because of the optics might not, like, come on, we allow a whole bunch of other lyrics to fly. So for him, and also, this is not Clip's first time having issues with a label. If you remember, I think after 06, after No Health, No Fury, I think they didn't drop an album for 3 years, because after that, that's when 09 came and Till the Casket Drops came out. And that was the last album they had together. Then after that, Malice dipped, and he talked about that in the interview as well. Excuse me. So again, whenever you get a chance to check out that interview, please check that out. That was a great interview. Salute to them too. And again, that album will be coming out on July 11th, I believe. So I'm definitely anticipating that. So transitioning into some new music that's kind of, ties in with the Clips. Pharrell and Rick Ross dropped a new track. I think it was called Money on the Floor. Let me see. What's that? Was that the name of that track? Yeah, For the Money, actually. I don't like it. And Pharrell is slick. I think I'm on to Pharrell's game. I think what you're doing is, dog, you giving beats to only Virginia niggas. or niggas you cool with, because I'm not feeling that record at all. It just wasn't good. I didn't like the beat. I didn't like the flow on it. I didn't like the raps on it. From before, when I first seen the collab, when they did the little snippet and I seen Rick Ross and Pharrell, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, this would be some dope shit. You got Pharrell on the track, you got Rick Ross on the track. This would be some fire shit. Turn on the track. Nah, dog, I'm cool on that. I'm cool. So you could have kept that, or you could have gave that to somebody else. But I think Pharrell is moving kind of funny, man. I'm not saying that in the bad. I think he's just reserving the best shit for his Virginia niggas, man. I could be wrong, but I just think it was just it wasn't moving me at all, man. You definitely could have kept that. But hopefully Rick Ross got an album that's coming out, because every time Rick drop, he definitely has some dope music. And Rick Ross is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I definitely got him around my top 10, top 15. And for his career, he's always had a great ear for the beats. So hopefully, if he got an album coming out outside that track, it could consistently be some good shit. So that's pretty much all we got on. That was one of the new tracks that dropped last week. So next up, we had Cardi. Cardi had announced that her album is coming out. I think it's called Am I the Drama? Yes, that is the name of the album. And apparently it's already sold 1.2 million already, due to records being WAP and what was the other track? I think it was WAP and something else. Let me see. Cause Cardi, she just had a song that came out. What was that? That album that came out? No, she had a track that came out a few weeks ago called Outside, which I actually like. So yeah, her album's coming out September 19th. It is called Am I the Drama? And she already went platinum due to Up being on there and WAP featuring Meg Thee Stallion. Here's my thing. The fact that you can go ahead and you could put 5-year-old songs on your upcoming not debut, excuse me. It feels like a debut because she ain't dropped since 2018. That's kind of crazy to me. I don't feel like at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. To me, that is kind of lazy. It is kind of lazy for you to put a 5-year-old track on your sophomore album. And honestly, when I first seen it, I was talking to my mans about it. I'm like, dog, didn't WAP come out like 2-3 years ago? He's like, dog, honestly, that shit might have came out during the pandemic. I'm like, no, that shit didn't come out during the pandemic, dog. No way. Sure enough, when I did my research, WAP came out 2020. I think it is kind of lazy for Cardi to go ahead and put this record on her album. And I don't want to, I honestly don't want to dig too much into Cardi, because I feel like ultimately I want to give her I want to kind of want to bounce it out. I want to give her some praise, because I do like Outside. But for it to be a 23-track album, because if you go on Apple Music, you'll see a 23-track album. I feel like you had more than enough time in between that 5-year time frame to where you didn't have to put WAP and Up on this album. To me, I just feel like that's lazy. It's kind of playing in the fans' faces. And for those, if you wanted to put those on there, let niggas find out when the album actually come out. Have some other lead up tracks like you did with Outside. I'll say that. Have some other tracks that comes out that leads up to the album, anticipation of the album. If you want to throw WAP, if you wanted to throw WAP and Up on there on the album, they'll do it as a bonus track. But for it to automatically be announced that those tracks are already on there, I feel like it's kind of lazy. It's kind of lazy work. And I see other people doing other comparisons of other artists who have done it, bruh. You put in a track on your upcoming album that probably came out 8 months ago, a year ago. It's not the same shit, and y'all know that, and y'all being disingenuous in that conversation. Y'all need to knock it off. We talking about a 5-year gap. I've never seen nothing like that in rap before. There has never been an artist who has an upcoming album coming out and they got a track from 5 years ago being one of the leads on their album. That just doesn't happen. That has not happened. And if you've seen it happen before, please let me know. It ain't been nobody notable, because I've never seen nothing like that ever. And I was just looking like, damn, you really gonna put those two tracks on your upcoming album. But I'm interested to see what kind of creative direction she goes as far as producers, features, and on. Like I said, you got 2 months coming up. That album is slated to come out again September 19th. So I'll be definitely interested to see what type of features she got. You know, what else? The producer she uses and the beat direction. That's mainly my thing. It's a mix with that, but also what type of sound she's really going for in this album. Because if you think about Invasion of Privacy was kind of like a mixture of a few genres. You had some pop, you had some rap on there. You had one, I think you did have one R&B track on there. So I'm interested to see what type of direction she's gonna go as far as the sound of this album. But I did see that this past week, and I was like, yeah, dog, putting a track from 5 years ago on your album, yeah, that's kind of that's kind of crazy, man. That's insane if you ask me. It's very insane. So next up, we got T-Pain versus Drake, and I never thought I would see this is another versus that's kind of crazy. So T-Pain was on this podcast and he had some choice words about Drake as it regards to him bowing out the game. So let me go ahead and play that clip real fast.
The one thing I learned from Drake, and here's the crazy thing. One thing I learned from Drake, but one thing he hasn't followed his own words. Mm-hmm. Drake said, I want to be one of the people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. Yeah. I have ever since said, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all when I drop. Don't worry about it. I'll just drop something. Yeah. Let me know if you heard it. Yeah. Drake is like, no, listen. Okay, I got another one. Oh, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick. Just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? I'm out this bitch.
This is live shows now.
I'm out this motherfucker. I'm not trying to impress y'all niggas. Y'all niggas don't give a fuck about live or die. Yeah. Why the fuck would I keep trying to impress y'all niggas? I'm out. I'm done. I did everything that I was trying to do. I changed the game. I made a sound. What else? What else?
You literally can't. It's only even if you make a hit today. It
won't even. That's just normal.
Yes.
It's just normal. It's like, yeah, that's okay.
Well, shit.
Cool song.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of crazy for T-Pain to say that. And let me say this. T-Pain does come off salty. He does come off a little bitter in him explaining that. And then also he has some tweets that resurfaced that I had saw. Let me see. This is from 2022. It's all good. Soft dark niggas wasn't the wave at the time, but Drake made it okay to simp, I guess, and now people are understanding what I was saying all those years ago. It just took a light-skinned nigga to get y'all to listen, and I applaud him for winning the Beige Baby Lottery. The Beige Baby Lottery is insane, bruh. That's insane, bruh. He had a couple of also weird tweets that don't necessarily got to do with this topic, but it kind of paints to the narrative on why he was hating on Drake. Here's my thing with T-Pain. T-Pain, we all know, came in a time where he definitely changed the whole sound. He definitely had a huge run from I'll say about 04 to 09. And then there was other people hating on him, mainly Jay-Z. Jay-Z definitely was hating on T-Pain with the whole auto-tune and all that. And I feel like that's where his resentment should be at. I don't really feel like it should be towards Drake because Drake and T-Pain don't do none of the same shit. I heard another clip when he was talking about how the whole B-side of Scorpion sounded like him. I'm like, bro, there's nothing on the B-side of Scorpion that sounds anything like you. Nothing. So I know I did also see another tweet that had to do something about a single that was supposed to be coming out. So maybe that might be some of his gripes and where the foundation of that may be. But in terms of what Drake doing in his artistry, they don't do none of the same shit. None of the same shit. And if T-Pain should have any directed hate or resentment, it should be towards Jay-Z because he was the one that kind of spearheaded him, kind of like him choosing to bow out the game. Like, I remember that time, 09 came, I'm like, damn, bro, like, I didn't never really think it was that serious, the whole auto-tune shit. It worked for him. It was great music, in my opinion. But his issues with Drake, I don't really see why he would have any issues with him. That doesn't even make sense. And I kind of felt like if he had any issues with Drake, he should have hit him on the side about it. Don't get on the podcast because it's gonna look a type of way. And obviously Drake caught wind of it, the whole camp caught wind of it, and they went ahead and, you know, that whole OVO camp, they petty and they gonna drag it and run it in the ground. But ultimately I felt like T-Pain should have went and he should have had a conversation with Drake on the side. Like, hey, bro, such and such happened, whether it be because of a single or anything like that. But getting on the podcast and saying that, come on, dog. I don't think that was the right move at all. I don't think that was the right move at all. And honestly, now that I think about it, I'm kind of surprised in between that. Yeah, because about 09, 10, shit, I could probably stretch it out to 2011. T-Pain was still doing some shit. I'm surprised him and Drake never really had a record together. And again, I did see that tweet where it said, you know, from T-Pain's account when he was talking about how him and a Drake single was supposed to be coming and it never came. So again, that could be the foundation of why he feels the type of way that he feels. But I think his hate is pointed at the wrong direction. I think he should have that. He should have that smoke for Jay-Z. Because I'm just thinking, I'm like, why would T-Pain and Drake, like, they're not even in the same realm as far as music and what they do. Like, when I look at Drake definitely created his own lane, but he does have kind of some of that Ja Rule element, mixing that R&B with rap. That's kind of where if I had to put Drake under a tree, that's the tree that I would put him under. But it's him and T-Pain, they don't do none of the same shit. So when I heard him talking about that whole Scorpion shit, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that and play that real quick. Cause I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, where did this even come from? Like, cause this doesn't even make sense. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. We got it right here. Let me see.
I'll tell you what I couldn't do. I couldn't listen to side B of Scorpion with you. Couldn't do it.
Well, yes, we're too romantic.
Couldn't do it. Not even that. Fuck the being the romantic part. I couldn't argue about side B with you. It would just be too much.
We'd be arguing about side B.
Oh, we would argue so much about side B because, first of all, half of it's me. Let's just get that out the way.
Half of it's what?
Me, nigga. That's all. So I get that.
I love you. You don't want to say.
Yeah, so that was from the Pull Up interview. This definitely had to have been from 2018 to 2019. And when I seen that, because I don't remember that interview then. So I go to the album and I'm like, B-side of Scorpion. Bro, there's nothing on this. Peak don't sound nothing like T-Pain. Summer Games, nothing like. Jaded, definitely nothing like T-Pain. Nice for What? Not at all. Finesse? No. Ratchet Happy Birthday? No. That's How You Feel? No. Blue Tint? No. In My Feelings? No. Don't Matter to Me with Michael Jackson? No. After Dark with Static Major and Ty Dolla $ign? No. Final Fantasy? No. No. There's nothing on the B side of Scorpion that sounds anything like T-Pain. There's nothing in Drake's discography for real that sounds like T-Pain. And I think that a lot of artists would do themselves. I think relationships would be handled better if everybody had conversations off camera. That's essential, especially in 2025. We know we live in a time where everybody want to go viral. Everybody want to have a moment. And even in combination with the whole Jim Jones and Nas shit, like I'm putting all this together. And I'm not saying Jim got any hate or resentment towards Nas, but when you say certain things, it may come off a type of way. I think a lot of artists would do themselves a better service if they have conversations with people offline. Or if you say something and it's already recorded, hey, bro, let me holler at you real quick. I said something on the interview that's about to be coming out soon. I don't want you to take it this type of way. Cool. There won't be no static. There won't be no issues. Everybody gets out in front of it. There's no static. There's no issues with anybody. Everybody is good. Everything is copacetic. Everything is good. But I think when you get on podcasts and you say certain things, and it can look a certain type of way, because this 100% looks like hate from T-Pain. And T-Pain definitely 100% deserves to have some type of gripe or issues with the music industry. But with Drake, I can't say that has anything to do with him. I remember one time he was telling the story about how he was on a private jet going somewhere, and either Usher was on the plane with him or he met him when he landed. It was one of the two. And I think T-Pain said something like Usher told him that he ruined music or something like that. I could be wrong. If I got it wrong, my apologies. But it was something in the rails. I think it was Usher who told him like, "Yeah, bro, like I think you might have ruined music," or he asked him if he ruined music or something like that. And it kind of derailed him. It kind of pushed him. That was one of the moments also that kind of pushed him away from music. So I don't want this to come off as if I'm shitting on T-Pain, because I have no issues with T-Pain as an artist. I think he's one of the greatest artists to come through in the rap game. He definitely birthed a new sound. I fuck with all his shit. All his shit. Everything pretty much that T-Pain put out was fire. Just this little back and forth with him and his issues, whatever he had with Drake, I felt like he should have handled that off camera. I don't think he should have got on a podcast and said that, because you make you look a type of way. It's like, damn, bro. And then on top of that, with the tweets, that kind of like, all right, bro. Like, this is 100% hate. That's just what it is. This is 100% hate. And whatever issues you got with dog, you need to go holler at him about that. So that's my whole takeaway from that. Hopefully T-Pain and Drake can have a sit down and have a conversation, and they could come out better on the other side of it, because I don't think that was the move at all. And shit, probably give us a track, but T-Pain I think is into streaming now. That nigga be streaming video games and shit, and I'm not against that neither. That's definitely a big money maker field. So salute to T-Pain, man. So next up we got some updated news as far as Diddy in his case. So I definitely did my research on this before I wanted to get here and talk about this, because there has been a lot of misconception about what's going on in terms of his trial and what was dropped, what wasn't dropped. So Diddy prosecutors dropped kidnapping and arson claims, narrowing racketeering charge in final days of trial. Federal prosecutors narrowed the racketeering conspiracy charges against Sean Diddy Combs, removing the claims of arson and kidnapping Wednesday, just one day before closing arguments begin in the blockbuster sex trafficking trial. The music mogul faces 5 federal counts of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He's pleaded not guilty. Under the racketeering conspiracy charge, prosecutors accused Diddy in the indictment of creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. In a letter to the court, the government proposed dropping 3 theories related to the racketeering conspiracy charge as a way to streamline jury instructions. They still intend to pursue the racketeering charge, but remove instructions related to attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. And here's a key point right here. All of the 5 federal charges against Diddy remain. The move comes after Alexandra Shapiro, one of the 55-year-old mogul's defense attorneys, passionately argued in the court on Tuesday for a judgment of acquittal on all counts. She claimed there were deficiencies to each count and then walked through each charge, outlining why it should be dropped. Shapiro argued that 2 of the 3 of the government's examples of kidnapping were insufficient. So I don't have to read all of this, just want to get the basics. Prosecutors plan to focus the racketeering conspiracy charges instead of proving forced labor and sex trafficking. The judge said he will reserve his decision on the defense motion. Closing arguments are set to begin Thursday morning. So yes, all the charges are still on the table, but they're basically telling him, hey, let's not focus on these 3 right here. And I felt like that's kind of a scrambling move. It's kind of a scrambling move in my opinion. I do feel like throughout this whole case, they haven't really proved too much of the sex trafficking. Now, if you remember, because I didn't forget this. I remember when they first put these charges on Diddy, and there was minors that were supposedly involved. And if you remember, there have been no minors rung up throughout this case. I didn't forget that. At first, they were saying that he was flying 15-year-old, 16-year-old girls from, across state lines, internationally, and all that. That had never came up in this case. So when I look at this, I'm thinking, man, prosecution probably kind of scrambling. I do feel like throughout this case, it's been a lot more, highlighted on the freak offs. And I don't really care about the freak offs. I really don't. I do feel like by technicality, they was going to get him on the sex trafficking, being that he was flying these sex workers from state to state, but you do got to prove proof of flight, transactions on that. They did get him on $100K that he paid a guy, I think for the videotape or something like that, and then also for I think that was the only thing they pretty much got him on. But just looking at this case, honestly, man, I kind of feel like they didn't really prove what they was trying to prove. We all know Diddy's an abuser. We know that. But he's not on trial for that. The claims of sex trafficking, I don't really feel like they 100% proved. Again, I felt like they could have got him on the technicality of, the sex workers flying from wherever, maybe from California to New York. But that's not really sickening if you don't have a paper trail of, him paying them that. Prostitution, I kind of feel like they probably will get him on that. But other than that, everything else, the racketeering, kidnapping, aiding and abetting in the sex trafficking under this, I feel like they're not going to be able to prove that. So I kind of feel like that's why they went ahead and they made this move. Like, yeah, we're going to tell the jury not to pretty much focus on this right here. So I think we'll end up in a situation where either he's going to walk or he's going to get time served. That's how I feel this case is going to go. Again, throughout this whole duration of this case, I haven't seen no hardcore proof evidence of him doing anything as regards to sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping. I haven't seen none of that. Of course, we had the arson, but they said they dropped that. They want to drop the sex trafficking, to engage in prostitution as well. So I'm interested to see how this case plays out. But I honestly think ultimately this is just a case to highlight Cassie and Diddy have an abusive freaking relationship. That's really just about it. That's all I've taken away from this case is that Diddy and Cassie had a very abusive and a very freaking relationship. And outside of the abuse, because that's not what he's on trial for and he should be held accountable for that, I don't really care about the freak-offs. I don't care about that. I started, when I first heard about this last year, I said, bro, I do not care about these freak-offs. I don't. If this man is guilty of sex trafficking, kidnapping, and all this other stuff, prostitution, and again, when this first came out, they was talking about minors. Minors have not been brought up throughout this case. If he was guilty of any of those things, he should 100% be held accountable. But there has been no evidence of none of those things specifically. Again, we know Diddy to be an abuser. I don't really fuck with dog after I seen the video, but this is not what he's on trial for. So I do see a situation where this nigga is ultimately going to end up walking, where he's just going to get, if he does do any time, it might be 2-3 years, or they might just get that nigga time served, honestly, because I don't see a situation where they're going to find him guilty on these charges, especially after this latest move. So again, I think this case will probably wrap up. What's today's date? Today, the 30th. Who knows? But it's just been all I've gotten from this is freak offs, him wanting her to go get this guy's stuff and come bring it back in the room and all this other. I don't really care about that. Where's the sex trafficking? that's because, like I said, that's one of the most serious things that you can put on somebody. And if that's not what's going on, then there doesn't need to be anything that he needs to be held accountable for as far as that. And if it is, then right, because again, he does face up to life in prison for this. So we'll see. And honestly, and again, also with the whole Kid Cudi thing, I really felt like that was for theatrics. I didn't really see the need for him to be at this trial, for them to tell them that, yeah, this nigga set my car on fire. I really felt like that was just for theatrics. That's all. It was irrelevant to the case, in my opinion. So, and Dawn Richard from Dirty Money, her account really was just more on the abuse side as well. It had nothing to really do with the whole sex trafficking case. So, again, we'll see closing arguments that happen in next week. So we'll see how this whole shit plays out. But yeah, them prosecution telling the jury to, just basically don't worry about those claims. That's kind of telling. And to me, it seems like they scrambling, and ultimately they don't really have a case to prove as far as that. So we'll see how that plays out. So, in other news, I did see something interesting that came up. So, Nas is opening up a casino in Queens. And when I first seen that, I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird, bro. Like I I didn't really see the need to put a casino in Queens. So let me see if I can, because there's an article that highlights in terms of what is going to be going on as far as that. Let me see, I got it right here. All right, let me go right here. So Resorts World's New York City transformative bid for commercial casino license, advancing 5.5 billion vision to build world-class integrated resort in Queens, New York. So Resorts World New York City has officially submitted its bid for a commercial casino license to the New York State Gaming Commission, the latest step towards unlocking a 5.5 billion vision to build on its long-standing partnership with Southwest Queens and New York State. The 5.6 million square foot proposal reimagines New York City's only casino as a vibrant, world-class integrated resort for entertaining, gaming, dining, recreation, and expansive public amenities. Yeah. Amplifying this effort is Queens-born hip-hop legend Nas, who partnered with RWNYC to produce and narrate the newly released video, It's About Time. The video follows Nas through the current facility as he reflects on his legacy and envisions his future, culminating in his symbolic handoff of the final bid to the officials in Albany. In Queens, the future is now, says Nas in the video. From our chairman to our newest employees, we are committed to Queens. RWNYC's proposal leverages its long community ties with a global approach, transforming Queens into its strongest gaming, hospitality, and entertainment destination in the United States. The 73-acre project will deliver world-class amenities that service the local community, the tri-state region, and international travelers, including many of the 63 million passengers who travel throughout the nearby JFK airport every year. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people speaking on this. They really trying to figure out how does this benefit the community? How does this benefit, just economic wise? Because here's my thing. If you're trying to better the community, the last thing you need to do is put a casino in said community. That's my opinion. Again, if you just want to do the casino just cause, I'm not against that. But if you're masking it as, oh yeah, this is the better the community, I don't see how that does that, especially in Queens, New York. You put in a casino, if anything, that's just going to put people in a position to give money away that they don't have in already a community that needs more jobs, people to earn more money, have a better living, and it's just temptation. At the end of the day, it's just temptation to spurge away money that people already don't have. So I'm interested to see how this plays out as far as a community aspect. I know this is going to provide a lot more jobs for people working in said casino, but if this is to better the community, I do got some question marks because, again, if you just want to build a casino just cause, okay, cool, but if you try to mask it as this bettering the community, I don't see how that does that. I honestly don't. So, again, salute to Nas. If this was his vision to build a casino. But I'm definitely interested to see how this plays out. Definitely. So, getting into some sports. Since last week, the Thunder did win the NBA championship. I want to congratulate the Thunder on winning their first ever franchise championship. Salute the SGA for taking home Finals MVP. He concluded what is to be one of the all-time years from a guard and a player period, but definitely for a guard. He took home scoring champ, all NBA first team, Western Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP, and he's a champ. Hey, a lot of people can't say that. I think the only other guard to do that is Michael Jordan. And the last time that happened was 1998, and he also joined Shaq and Kareem to be the fourth player to be MVP, scoring champ, and Finals MVP in the same season. So rare feat. I want to salute SGA on having a great year. Definitely, and he's still young. That's another thing too. Like if SGA was to retire right now, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I always say this. I say this about other players who first win a championship. Once you win a championship, in my opinion, you don't got nothing else to prove, dog. You've done it. You reached the heights that a lot of players haven't reached. So from this point onward, SGA has nothing else to prove in his career. Everything that he does from this point onward will just be brownie points. That's just how I envision it, because winning the championship is not easy. And I feel like once you accomplish that one time, Who says you got to go out here and win multiple rings to, establish your legacy? If he wants to do that for his own personal goals, cool. But as far as in me, he's already cemented himself as one of the all-time greats, bro. That's just how I look at it. Especially when you come out, you become scoring champion again, all NBA first team, Western Conference Finals MVP, Finals MVP. Hey, you stamped yourself in the all-time greats, bro. So salute to the Thunder. Also prayers to Tyrese Halliburton. He tore his Achilles in that first quarter, and he came out blazing too. That was another thing. Like, he came out the gates wrecking shit. Unfortunately, because he did have a calf injury. And I want to say this, just going forward, players need to stop playing when they have calf strains. I understand you want to go out there, you want to put it out on the line for your team, but I don't think it's just beneficial. I don't think it's beneficial for your health long term. And we do know in rare occurrences, do people play the same after they tear their Achilles. We had Dame tear his Achilles in the playoffs. We had Jason Tatum tear his Achilles in the playoffs. Tyrese Halliburton. It's just very unfortunate. The only player that really, in my opinion, become better post an Achilles was Kevin Durant. KD was averaging 29 in BK, shooting 50% from the floor. He has had no drop off since that Achilles injury, and at a point was playing better post that Achilles injury. But we do know history suggests that after an Achilles tear, you're pretty much not the same after that. I do see the conversation with people saying they need to shorten the season due to the pace and everything like that. Let me say this. Reducing games is not going to reduce injuries. I don't care what you niggas say. It's just not going to happen. That's not how basketball works. Sometimes freak injuries, they just happen, bro. Also, I want to point this out too. I think a lot of the time it's a combination of players not taking care of themselves how they're supposed to. And also, I think some of these sneakers may be shitty. I think some of it, you have to highlight some of the sneakers. I know a lot of people talking about the low tops. I don't think it's necessarily due to them being low. I think it might be the material too. If you don't have a sneaker that's really structured to take on the impact and the cuts and the force that you're doing, that can impact your injuries, bro. Now, me personally, I'm a fan of high top sneakers when playing basketball. I'm not fucking with no low tops. Now, if there was an article to come out or information that suggests that low tops have a lot to do with it, okay, cool. But me personally, I feel like it might come down to what these shoes are made out of. And I don't think reducing games is going to reduce injuries. We've seen guys like Kawhi Leonard. He low man. He still get hurt. So I think you just reducing games, it's not going to do that. It's not going to prevent no injuries. You have some guys who go through the whole year and don't get hurt. Look at the Thunder. The Thunder didn't have no injuries for real. So I don't think it's a games thing. I think, unfortunately, it could just be due to a freak accident and a combination of the type of sneakers these niggas wearing, now I'm speaking more so to the material, and them not taking care of their bodies like how they're supposed to. I'm going to play a clip from Kevin Garnett actually speaking about that when him and Paul Pierce was talking about how, reducing the games is really not gonna benefit them. Let me go ahead and play this real quick.
Some of the trainers were talking about the lack of calf raises for some of the players to end their workout. Bro, we used to end a workout, especially on a leg day, calf raises. This is how I'm speeding up, this is how I'm stopping, this is my whole wiggle. If your calves ain't here, and on top of whenever I go to finish, I gotta be athletic enough to finish, right? Bro, when you start breaking that down, like this is what Ticket talk about that they out of shape. We practiced every day. We went up and down every day. Like a game. Like a game. So we 5-on-5 pretty much the whole season. With drills. And so now they come in and they doing a lot of individual work. With a trainer. So a lot of our shit was game speed. Right. With a trainer. And then in the summer? At half speed. Right. For 30 minutes. Right. And then they're going to go play a 2-hour fucking game and think they're going to play. In the summer, we played ball. We played 5-on-5. For 7 hours. In the summer, they individual work every day. For 30 minutes. With one trainer. Yeah. And think that's going to be the same shit. Like, what are we talking about here? Bro, motherfucker do a whole workout an hour by himself. I come in here, it's 5 niggas in one workout doing 30 minutes. Bro, This is not the same shit, bro. No. Then he going to go run Red Mountain and try to kill himself.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up. Ticket, you had a pretty, memorable...
I got to guard a Tracy McGrady. I got to guard a real nigga in fourth quarter, and I'm tired of my legs done. How do I simulate that? I got to go play against people like this, and then I got to take my body and try to kill it. Because when you, listen, I'm going to tell you something. This is what that motherfucker don't tell you about game 4 or game 5 or game 7. When you in mud and they come down to LO and they call in a triangle and you got to stop LO from get Lloyd and I'm stuck in mud and my legs ain't even, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I get to the huddle and 3-4 niggas is falling out. Motherfuckers don't want to play no more. Like, bro, you can't simulate this. This is the foxhole you in. So you try to put yourself in simulate. He would go to, what's the dunes you go to?
Oh, yeah, the dunes over there in Manhattan Beach.
I'm going to the opposite dune where it look like a whole mountain. He doing that when I'm doing this one. We both talking shit about what it take to get to the top. He talking about how he threw up. I talking about how I threw up coming down. He threw up on the way up. Like, Lord, who training like this? And why y'all training like that? Guess what? We get to the fourth quarter, we looking fresh. We dapping. Yeah, nigga, you remember that? Right. Yo, what you nigga, let's get him in. Like, yo, I'm talking about, you feel what I'm saying? So that's what we doing.
I 100% agree with Kevin Garnett, bro. And we got to start being honest, bro. A lot of athletes haven't had to deal with these injuries, with y'all bringing up this pace excuse. You mean to tell me that LeBron James has spanned probably 2 different eras as far as, pace? LeBron hasn't sustained no significant injuries. He hasn't. I think it does, boy. And we all know LeBron invests $1 million into his body in the offseason. Take care of his body. LeBron ain't never had no ACL tear, never had no Achilles injury. If LeBron got an ankle injury, it's because him diving at the ball, him landing awkward. But other than that, LeBron is not frequently out here getting hurt. And I think you do have to adjust your body to whatever you're, like KG said, whatever you're playing. You have to be able to simulate what you're going to be doing in real time as well. So, I think it's a combination of the type of sneakers they wearing, not due to it being low top, but the type of material, and them not really taking care of their bodies how they're supposed to. This is not me saying that these guys don't go out here and don't work hard, but they may not be working as hard as they need to as far as that. And sometimes it might just be due to a freak injury. It happens. I think more so Tatum and Dame is more so that was just a freak injury. Dame, I know he had some issues with his leg and he tried to go out there and play. And again, Tyrese Halliburton, he had some injury issues with his calf as well. So them two shouldn't have been going out there and playing. I don't believe once you start having calf injuries, don't go out there and play, bro, because it's just not beneficial for you long term. But I do think there needs to be an honest conversation about this whole reducing games thing. I don't believe reducing games is going to reduce these injuries. These guys be going out here, they low manage, and they still end up getting hurt in the playoffs, bro. That's just what it is. I've seen plenty of players go throughout the whole season, don't really get. James Harden has been one of the players who really go out there. This man played 82 games a season, damn near for 7-8 years. We've seen him do it. Don't sustain no injuries. He had his one major injury in 2021 with the Nets with the hamstring, but other than that, James ain't had no ankle injuries, no Achilles injuries, none of that. So I think it just boils down to the player and their workout regimen. I think that's really what it boils down to. So also in other news, Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets. We had a blockbuster trade as far as that. So that happened. I think that actually happened. That happened last Sunday, actually. Yeah, Kevin Durant got traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets. The trade involved several players and draft picks. The Rockets are sending Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th overall pick and the upcoming draft and 5 second-round picks to the Suns. Yep, it was finalized on the 22nd. So, in my opinion, we all knew that Kevin Durant eventually was going to get up out of Phoenix. My whole thoughts on the trade is, I think it was just you did what you had to do type of trade. I don't think this was nothing that really was too crazy. Maybe because I seen it coming. I do think Kevin Durant going to Houston is good, but they need to add more pieces around him. Because I do like him in. I do like Sengun. And I think with those three, I think they can make some noise. But if they want to go ahead and definitely make a push and get past that second round, they definitely got to add some more pieces, specifically a guard. But Kevin Durant, like I always said, Kevin Durant has played tremendous basketball post the Achilles. So I think he's going to continue to go out there, ball out, put up 27 and shoot on 48 to 50% from the field. I think this would be great from a veteran presence as far as everybody else, as far as Sengun and the men, and Jabari Smith as well. but they definitely got to fill out the rest of that roster as far as guard play, get you another wing. And I think it could be beneficial. I won't say that they'll be contenders, but I do like the move. Good to see KD back in not back, but good to see KD in Houston. So I'm interested to see how the Rockets go. And definitely as far as, their coaching. Shout out to Ime Udoka. He's a great coach for the Rockets. So I think with Kevin Durant and Amen and Sengun, I think Houston can make some noise. I do like that. I do like that move. Some other trade news. We had Lonzo got traded to the Cavs for Isaac Okoro. I'm going to say this, and I've been saying this. I'm just glad we got Lonzo off the books. I don't care where we traded him to. I don't care what we got in return for him. I'm glad he's off my team, and this has nothing to do with Lonzo Ball as far as personal, but he simply doesn't play. He just doesn't play, bro. Everybody, and I think a lot of the praise that Lonzo gets is because of his last name. But from a basketball standpoint, he just doesn't play enough for me. So I'll take Isaac, but ultimately I'm just glad Lonzo was off the books. Lonzo Ball played 35 games last year. Before that, he hadn't played in 2 years. So essentially, what were we doing with him? He wasn't benefiting us in no way, shape, or form. I do hear rumors about us possibly getting Jonathan Kuminga, keep him far away from Chicago. I don't want him in Chicago. I don't need no more mid players. I'm getting to the point now with Chicago. We need to start establishing some greatness as far as players if we're going to bring him in. I got Mataz Buzelis. I definitely like him. I think he will be a top 15 player in about 2-3 years. I really like his upside. I do like Kobe White. I do like what we got with Josh Giddey. So I'm interested to see how we fill out the rest of the roster. We do have a bunch of guards right now, so hopefully we get some wings in there, some bigs, so we can definitely, get some rebounds because all we got is Vooch right now. We definitely need some more big bodies down there. Nas Reed, he signed his extension with the Timberwolves. So let me see how much he signed for. I think it was $150. Yeah, he signed a 5-year, $125 million deal. 25 year. So crazy, $25 million a year not being the max money no more. That's really crazy, bro. Boston, they also did some trades. Boston, they traded Porzingis. Let me see. Yup. The Boston Celtics traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks in a 3-team deal that also involved the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics acquired George Niang and a second-round draft pick in the trade. The move helped the Celtics get under the second apron of the luxury tax. Yeah, so the Celtics got George Niang, Hawks got Kristaps, and the Nets got Terrence Mann. And who else? Oh, this trade also was a part of a larger shakeup for the Celtics, who also traded Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers. The Celtics' moves are largely motivated by the desire to get under the second apron of the luxury tax. Now, I do see rumors about Jaylen Brown getting traded. Let me say this. The Celtics, as far as these moves right here, if they want to get under the luxury tax, cool. The Celtics don't need to trade Jaylen Brown. We all know Jason Tatum won't be back until the beginning of the 2026 season, so he's going to be out for the year. You still need to keep that tandem of Tatum and Brown together. This does not need to be a panic move. You don't need to move. I also hear them talking about possibly trading Derek White. Keep Derek White. He's a very valuable piece to the Boston Celtics. You keep Derek White, you keep Jaylen Brown, and you definitely keep Jason Tatum together. You keep those three together, and you fill out the rest of the roster around them, them niggas will be fine, bro. I think the Celtics have a great, solid foundation. And I think there's just been this, I don't know, it seems like there has been this want to break up Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and I really don't understand that shit. These niggas won a championship together. They tried to run it back this year. Freak injury happened with Tatum. I do believe had Tatum stayed healthy, they would have beat the Knicks. That's my personal opinion, and I honestly think they would have went back to back. But I just think to sustain success, you keep that pairing together, bro. Don't trade Jaylen Brown. To me, it doesn't make any sense. You made the moves necessary to get under the luxury tax, so you keep that core going forward. Keep that core going forward because that doesn't make any sense. We all know free agency is going to start on the 1st, so I'm interested to see what type of free agency moves are happening. Everybody's anticipating some moves to be happening, some big time moves to be happening according to Sham. So we'll see how that plays out. NBA draft. We had the NBA draft happened. That happened on Wednesday. Number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag, went to the Dallas Mavericks, of course, which I still think is fucking insane. It literally doesn't make. I'm telling you, they're gonna do a documentary about that shit, bro. They're gonna make a documentary about that because that was insane, bro. I'm sorry. Some funny shit. I don't believe the NBA to be rigged, but that was kind of some crazy shit. So I'm just round out the top 10. Mavericks got Cooper Flag. Spurs got Dylan Harper. Sixers got VJ Edcombe. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce that right. 4, the Hornets got Don Canopo. 5, Jazz got Ace Bailey. 6, Trey Johnson. Wizards. 7, Pelicans, Jeremiah Fears. 8, Nets got Egor Demin from BYU. Number 9, Raptors got Colin Murray Boyles. Number 10, Rockets got Kamal Malak from Duke. So we all know the big news surrounding this whole draft. This draft night was Ace Bailey going to the Jazz. So apparently, according to sources, Ace Bailey had preferred destinations as far as where he wanted to go, as far as teams. So sources from Bailey's camp told ESPN and lead up to the draft that those teams were, the Jazz weren't among the teams his preferred destinations, with his preference being the Washington Wizards, which held the number 6 selection. And I think Brooklyn was another preferred destination too. So let me go ahead and say this, because I believe Ace Bailey be a top 2 player in this draft. That's my personal opinion. I think he will turn out to be one of the best players from this draft behind Cooper Flag. We don't need to be having rookies start having preferred destinations on where they want to go. This is the draft. This is not free agency. The draft, you are entering yourself to have an opportunity to become one of the best players in the league by whatever team. It's a draft for a reason. Free agency, you earn the right after you played 3-4 years to test your value on the market. As a rookie, you haven't earned that right yet. We don't need to start getting into a situation to where rookies are dictating where they want to get drafted. No, that's not good for the sport at all. This is not that, bro. You are a college, one of the best college players, keyword college, who is now entering the NBA draft, a new level. I feel like at this point, bro, and I'm seeing a lot of the responses to this, I'm seeing people act like as if we only have 7 teams in the NBA. You niggas just want the NBA to be in Houston, New York, Miami, Los Angeles. Bruh, if that's the case, we won't have no NBA. And go to Utah, and I did see recently that he did arrive in Utah. But play out the 4 years, bruh, and then go to wherever you want to go. But for the time being, you're doing yourself a service by going to the team, running your stats up, get your value up, and then go dip to wherever you want to go at. But rookies should 100% should not be choosing their destination as far as getting drafted. No, you don't reserve that right, and I stand on that. You don't get to have that right. You got to prove yourself first. Everybody want to talk about, oh, Utah this, Utah. Bro, listen, there's 30 NBA teams for a reason. Sorry, every team can't be in Los Angeles. Sorry, every team can't be in New York. Sorry, every team can't be in Atlanta. Sorry, every team can't be in Houston. Every team can't be in Dallas. No, that's not how the shit work, bro. Go to Utah, run your numbers up, ball out, get your value up because it's only going to benefit you long term, and go do your thing, bro. That's it. But if we start getting into this situation to where rookies, unproven rookies, are like, yeah, I don't want to play for this team. Nah, bro. And I did see reports prior that said Danny Ainge wasn't going to budge. I believe that. And if I was Danny Ainge, I wasn't going to budge neither. All this, oh, that's not my preferred destination. So I got to switch up my draft board and get a lesser talented player because you don't want to come play. No. And like I said, I did see Ace finally arrive in Utah, but he wasn't going to have no choice anyway because it's not like he was going to go play for another team. He wasn't going to go play for another team. The Utah Jazz owned his draft right, so you either was going to play or you wasn't going to play and not get paid and miss out on $40 million on your rookie deal. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this because I seen that be a big conversation. Be like, oh, why are you as a GM not listening to a player? Bro, I'm not listening to what a player got to say as far as a draft. No. Because if I start conforming to rookies telling teams, oh, yeah, I don't want to go play for y'all, what are we doing for real? Y'all want the draft to be free agency. No, we're not doing that, bro. That's not what this is. This is the NBA draft. This is not NBA free agency. If I draft you, you need to become playing for my team. Period. Nothing else needs to be said, bro. You haven't proven yourself to where you can go out on the market and test your value yet. No, that's not how this shit work. Sorry. We've seen this happen on rare occasions. We seen it happen with Eli. I see somebody try to bring up Steve Francis. You can't compare Steve Francis' situation at all to this. But going forward, no, rookie shouldn't be dictating, and I stand on that. Rookie should not be dictating where they are going at in the draft, bro. Go to Utah, do your thing, ball out, and then in 3-4 years, when you want to dip, you have every right to go do that. Prior to that, I can't give you that, dog. And I love Ace Bailey's game. Again, I think he's a top 2 player in this draft. And honestly, and shout out to my dog Sosa. I told Sosa this. I'm like, bro, the Sixers should have drafted that nigga because it was this whole thing about him not working out for certain teams. The Sixers was one of the teams. And I still would have drafted his ass. I still would have drafted him. I still would have did. It has happened in. I did see something recently about how Steph Curry prior to the draft. So because this was crazy. So apparently, let me go look at that draft actually, because he got drafted in 2009. Let me see, because I want to be accurate before I speak on this. So Steph Curry got drafted by Golden State at 9. No, at 7. At 7, yeah. He got drafted at 7. And New York Knicks had the number 8 pick. So apparently, I seen a story that came out recently that said that prior to the draft, Dale Curry had told Golden State not to draft Steph. He wanted to go to New York. Now, if I'm subscribing to what I just said, I believe Golden State said, no, fuck that. I'm not switching up my draft board because Steph don't want to come over here. And what happened? It worked the fuck out. Look at that. 4 championships, 2 MVPs, got the franchise value up to all-time heights. Because if you remember, the Golden State Warriors was damn near a laughing stock of the league. Laughing stock. You got to think, they're in the Bay. It's not like the Bay is, a small market city. They're not. But the Golden State Warriors have never in their existence prior to, and at least in my lifetime, have never been no championship contender. They had the 1 year in 07 when they had the Believe team. They beat the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks. But out consistently, they've been a laughing stock of the league, bro. Steph Curry get there, turn the tide of that franchise. So, again, sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise, bro. Everybody want to make jokes about, Utah this and Utah that, bro. Listen. Go out there, do your thing, and then if you want to leave, or you never know, you might end up wanting to stay. But Danny Ainge is not, and no GM in their right mind is going to switch up their draft board all because a top 2, for sure, top 5 talented player don't want to go there. No, that's not how this shit work, bro. So I'm glad the Jazz stood tall on their decision and drafted him. Hopefully it works out because I think Ace Bailey can become one of the great players. Yes, from an optic standpoint, yeah, who's going to want to come there and ball? Bro, at the end of the day, you never know what could happen. I remember when the Sonics moved to OKC, I'm like, bro, this is about to be some weird shit. Now look at it, OKC Thunder are champs, bro. We all know the Utah Jazz haven't really been a threat since the Deron Williams days. They had a couple of second-round appearances with Donovan and Rudy, but you got to grind, bro. You got to build a team. Like, we're in a time now where parity is prominent. Like, you're not winning back-to-back championships no more in no foreseeable future, in my opinion. It's hard to win back-to-back. And when you win back-to-back, that needs to be applauded. Salute to the Golden State Warriors for doing that. But that was 2018. We coming up on 2026. It's been 8 years since somebody repeated. We had a different champ for 7 years in a row. It's hard to do that. So you never know what can happen. Just go out there, ball out, do your thing, bro. And you never know what can happen. But salute to all the draftees, everybody who got drafted. Again, I'm interested to see how the summer league plays out, how free agency plays out, and we can go from there. So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got for this week. Again, I want to thank y'all for kicking it again with me this week. We 8 episodes into this thing, man. I felt like I just did episode 1. So again, salute to y'all for rolling with me, rocking out with me. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this. We are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify. And again, man, thank y'all. Again, please continue to strive to your goals. Get your ass in the gym. Please get your ass in the gym. Watch your eating habits. Watch what you're putting into your body. Don't fall victim to the little things. Little things can derail you off your mission. Please do not give energy to the little things, man. And ultimately, man, be safe. Be safe. So again, this is I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. I'm out.